Welcome to the Public Access Podcast. I'm just going to jump right into it because that's what's happening today. There's probably a cool way to do this. Today is the cool way to do this, so it's going to be the way it's done. I'm going to bring on my special guest right here. My special guest right here is Pretty Boy Doug Masters. I'm out of my announcer voice. I would like to have done an announcer voice today, but my voice isn't working today. It's good to have you here. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, I don't know, because that was something I was thinking about with getting the large entrance. I mean, what's it like when you're going somewhere and you get your name like this, where it's not like, like sometimes it's great. You have someone who's awesome, who's that great ring announcer, who can always nail your entrance, knows how to do it. And then you have some jerk like me who's just like, hey, here's Pretty Boy Doug Masters.
The good, big voice like that's good sometimes. Yours is all right, brother. I mean, it's all right.
Okay.
It's just an entrance. As long as you get my name right and everything's all right, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Have you had a time where you had your name not right?
Yeah, a few times up in Oregon. Don Owens, the promoter up there, he was a ring announcer, and he's about 7 years old almost, and he would either tell you, one week I'd be from Tulsa, where I'm from, next week I'd be from L.A., so to get everything mixed up, so.
All right. How'd that go up in Portland? Because, I watched some in Portland when I was a kid. I got to go there. I would have been like, not long before it closed down. Would have been like late 80s, early 90s, getting to go there. But now that it's cool that being able to see some of it back online somewhere. But I mean, it's one of those things. There's only so much, a lot of it getting taped over, and for me, I have a lot of stuff that's behind a paywall now. Like a lot of stuff that's happened is now you have to pay to be able to see the stuff. Is it? I mean, like, I don't know. I guess I don't know where I'm going with that part, but do you go in like? Are you thinking about Portland at all? Is that like a thing that ever pops up? Is there anything like?
No,
do you have like any like?
Yeah, I think about Portland all the time. That was my precisely world class. Was my first territory. I worked down in Dallas after I got trained.
Yeah.
Mike George, Tommy Gilbert trained me, so I worked down there. And Akbar was the booker, so I went down there to work. We worked our territory down there. I worked against Cactus Mick Foley when he was coming on Cactus Jack, and Undertaker when he was Texas Punisher. And then from there, we went to Oregon. I remember sending I think about it all the time because I liked it up there. I remember sending a videotape to Lynn Denton, the grappler who was booking there.
Okay.
Him and my
Sure.
buddy I started with, Bart Sawyer, we went up together, and they said, well, come on up and do a tryout, but we ain't gonna promise you nothing. We're thinking, well, we're going the wrong ways for this, So we went up there and had our match and everything, and he said, go ahead and get a house, place to live, you're hired. So that was pretty exciting, and they made me co-host commentary. I did that and wrestle, so between doing the commentary and wrestling my match, I had more TV time than the rest of the guys did.
That's the thing that no one's gonna, be able to take that from you. I mean, you got the being able to do the commentary and the wrestling, but then the commentary, you also do a lot less bumps than if you're wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
but okay. So do you remember where you got a place in Portland? Do you remember where you
Yeah, the
lived?
Bomber. It was called the Bomber.
Oh, you lived at the Bomber over there on McLaughlin,
Yeah, I think
where
it's where it was
where
at. Yeah,
everyone
they've
else
got that
lived.
big airplane out front.
Okay, so you were at the Bomber. Oh shoot. Okay, that's that must have been quite the time there. What so
I lived
yeah.
there, and I lived at this other when I lived there, and then I got with this lady, and we moved into an apartment. She didn't want me staying at the Bomber as wild as it was, you know.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
It
sure
was
she
pretty
went there
wild.
once
There had a good
and
time there. It was good and wild. Every night after we worked, there was always a match. Always had a woman. Whatever we wanted, we had, you know.
I bet, yeah, she probably came there one or two times and she's like, hey, do you want to go and move in together and we can go get a place somewhere that's not here? Did you end up going back there after you moved out? Or
Yeah, I'd go back there and visit the guys every now and then, but, you know, and they come over to the house, so it was kind of a mutual thing. So,
yeah. Where?
you
Oh, go
know,
ahead.
you know, we partied and stuff every night, so I was kind of taking breaks from that for a while. So she had a good place to live, so.
Where'd you end up moving to over there?
Oh, off
Do you remember?
Not McMill, but I forget where I was. These called Riverside Apartments.
Okay, just down the road.
Yeah, it wasn't very far. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't very far. So it's Riverside Apartments. We had a one bedroom there. It was pretty nice. I forget how much it was. I think it was like $900 a month back then, but I don't know how
Okay.
much it'd been now. It was pretty high. So it was nice. It had security out there and all that stuff on the property. So it was real nice. I
Yeah.
was a bad guy there on TV, and when I went outside the house, everybody's pretty nice. There were some people that cussed and stuff like that, you know. So being a heel is part of it. You got to take is people, you know, talking
What?
bad to you. You want them to, you know.
Yeah, you
You
got.
be the meanest SOB you can be, man. Just hate the people.
So, what were you driving around in, or how were you getting around when around town? Just through McLaughlin or wherever, you know, when you weren't on the road. On the road.
Some of the boys' cars and stuff. I flew up there. We drove up there with Bart's car. I think it was a Honda Civic.
Oh wow, you drove a Honda Civic from Texas up to Portland.
From Oklahoma to Portland, yeah. And then
Oklahoma, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, we had made it up there, and then we drove around in that right there. But sometimes, since he was a good guy, I had a kayfabe, so I just ride with the heels, you know. So I didn't ride it much, but I know it got him around good up there.
So yeah. So then, where were your favorite places, kind of around the loop? Because what was the loop? It was, you know, like what, you know? Because I mean, it was
Saturday,
like Saturday nights was at
Saturday
the
had Portland.
Portland.
Portland Sports Arena on Saturdays at TV. Sunday we do like Coos Bay or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Monday we do a spot show, and Tuesday we do Salem. Wednesday and Thursday we like do Hillsboro or McMinnville, somewhere close. But see, during the week, on Saturdays we work for Don Owens. Well, Sandy Barr, the referee, he ran the towns during the week, so he'd pay us during the week.
Okay.
That's how that worked. So just whatever towns he had booked, whatever week we worked Salem the same night, Portland the same night, Eugene was on Fridays. We did that at the same time. The rest of the other 2 nights a week was Sandy's shows. Wherever he wouldn't run the same town, he'd get different towns. So every week, 3 towns that were the same and 3 towns that wasn't.
Yeah. So then, when you were going to some of these smaller towns, did you have one that? Because I mean, even if you were a heel, were there towns like where you'd go into, and you know, like you knew one of the local people there, like you go there every time, and they're, you know, like you know, old Steve at the grocery store knew you, and he'd hook you up with some you know, free sandwich or something cool like that, or is everyone just like, to hell with this guy? This guy's an asshole doing his job, or
And there was a few places we stopped at. That was that'd be the town of Eugene every Friday nights. Uh, there was a few people that get us stuff to eat, stuff to drink, stuff like that, beer and everything else, but whatever else we wanted. But Eugene, we went there every Friday night, and we had our own set of people that come there every week to the matches, and sometimes I would talk to them just to get to know them a little bit better. I didn't have to be an asshole all the time.
yeah,
But I needed to be because our Don would have fired me probably because out there being a heel and out there talking to everybody else, I just stayed to myself. You know what I mean?
yeah. So what was like the first thought when you were in Oklahoma? And they said you need to go up to Oregon, or like it wasn't you need to go to Oregon. It's like you have the opportunity to go to Oregon. Were you thinking like, what am I going to do with these people up here, or are you thinking like, because I mean it was a pretty decent territory at the time. It was like the kind of the place to be. But I mean like, but then it's also not really by anything else. Like, but then I guess Texas wasn't either. I mean, both of those you had to put probably a good amount of miles on your car, or if it wasn't your car, someone else's car.
Yeah, up in down in World Class in Dallas, Texas, there was long road trips. We did Sportatorium on Friday nights, and on Saturday mornings we did TV again there. So that was our weekly show, and during the week there was just different towns we ran. They had sponsors to go out and get fundraisers for towns, for the basketball team or something like that, have fundraisers. So we did all the fundraisers there, and then Scandal Akbar told me, I'm going to send you stuff to Oregon. So me and Bart we all sent our stuff to Oregon, and he told us to come up there. But Portland, it was short road trips. He was home every night, like 75 miles was as long as, I think Eugene was the longest road trip we'd do, and that was 100 some miles. The rest of the time, it's like 20 miles. You know how it is up there. Towns are real close and everything, Weather's nice and cool. It just rains all the time, But other than that, it's nice up there.
Yeah. So what else did you do while you were in Portland? Like when you on the day? I guess I don't know if there were days you weren't really working, but were you like hanging out anywhere? Were you doing any stuff, or were you just sort of just like on the road all the time, just working?
Mainly on the road all the time. On my day off, I just rested usually.
Yeah.
We was on the road so much, which I wanted to stay busy, make more money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Business was up. People were buying tickets, so we went out and put on a show. For them.
And okay, and so then you were there. So then you went from there to Puerto Rico.
No, from there I went to the USWA in Tennessee. Yeah,
Okay.
Don Owens had shut down to 2 days a week. I couldn't make no money off doing that, so Lenny sent my tape to Eric Embry, who was booked for USWA in Nashville. He called me up when he got it, told me to come on down. He's gonna put me to work, so I flew down there, got a car, and drove from Tulsa to Nashville and worked for him. And I worked some single matches first, and then Jerry Lawler told me to get somebody from Oregon to come up there because they was going to put the titles on us. So I brought Bart Sawyer up there. Which one thing about Bart Sawyer, he'd never been a heel before. He was used to being babyface, so he had a little bit to get used to and stuff like that. He'd slip around, talk to people and nothing, but they put the straps on us from Robert Fuller and Jeff Jarrett at the Mid-South Coliseum, and we swapped the title reigns back and forth like every other week. One of us would have it one week, the other would have it the next week, and it was pretty good in the USWA. I didn't do no commentary or nothing, but we just had the tag titles, and there was a lot of history behind them tag team belts, so I was kind of an honor to be able to have the straps,
Yeah. So what did you teach Bart of how to be a heel? Like what was like? Did you have like any sort of not tricks, but something like a trick, some sort of
Yeah,
advice
spots.
to give him, or spots that, yeah, a good spot that would, be able to give him some good heat, or just, something that would have him be able to pick it up a little quicker than if he wasn't with you.
Yeah, I taught him how to do certain spots in the ring. What not? What you always sell, but what to sell more than the other time you sell. Told him to give a lot of facial expressions, and always stay on top of the crowd. Always work the crowd. That's what he wants to do is work that crowd. Get them all riled up and everything. So I taught him how to do that, but he adapted it pretty good. The only thing he did bad, he wouldn't kayfabe and stay away from the women and the kids and stuff. He wanted to do that, so and finally, we finally got our. We worked there. I worked at see who was there then. Lawler, Billy Joe Travis, Bill Dundee, Eric Embry, Tom Pritchard. We had a whole bunch of. We had a good crew there when I worked there back. It was in the '90s, I think, '91 or '92, I think, something like that. But
Right when Portland was closing down.
yeah, I think it was what it was, around '91 or something like that, '92.
Yeah.
That's Portland for about 2 years.
Uh, I'm not hearing you for some
How's
reason.
that? That better?
There we go. Yep, that's better. Go ahead.
Yeah, the USWA didn't shut down until they sold the company, until they bought World Class. They bought Fritz, and that's how it become the USWA. But they didn't. They used to have a bus, big one like the singers take. That they'd go down there
Uh,
every Friday and do TV. So everybody would just ride on the bus down there from Nashville, and then they had to go back to Nashville, to do the regular. We do our regular shows during the week that we had scheduled to do.
from Nashville to Dallas.
Yeah, we went down there when Fritz bought it.
Yeah.
When Jarrett bought it from Fritz, so we go down there and run one day a week, and it was just a sportatorium. We shoot TV there for that area, and then we come back up to Nashville and shoot TV for USWA up in that area, because it didn't get the TV down there, But we had he had two territories to run at the time, so. And eventually he just dropped the one in Dallas, and we just stuck with the one in Nashville.
And then, yeah, okay. And so then, how long were you going back and forth? Like, how long of a drive is that on a bus from Nashville to Dallas?
Man, that was about 300 miles.
Oh, okay.
It ain't bad, but you was comfortable on that big bus, so we had all the guys on there, Babyface sitting heels, so it was all right. There was a lot of room and stuff, so we just had to get so much for gas, for that bus, and a lot more trans than it was driving a regular car, but it was nice. They quit doing that after Jared had bought it, and after a while, he thought that was too much. He couldn't run do both territories. He didn't have enough guys to do it. His home territory was still, so he just stuck with that. Kind of let Dallas go away.
I mean, and it must have been nice knowing that everybody's going to show up there because everybody's on the same bus. You don't have to worry about people showing up late, or not knowing if someone's going to show up and have to change the cart around, and then you don't have to worry about people driving. You can just sort of that has to be nice, not having to do those drives and just be able to sit back and relax and learn what you can from everyone and be able to sit back and just enjoy being there rather than having to worry about how much gas I have left, where the next exit is, when are we going to get food. Just everything's sort of taken care of. That must have been a bit of a difference of some of those other rides.
We'd worked our regular shows during the week, which is a lot of miles, and you did a lot of miles in the USWA. There was long road trips there, But yeah,
Sure.
then we'd make that trip down to Dallas. That was more time. That was good to have the bus kind of take a break from driving,
Sure. So were you usually the guy that was driving, or were you usually?
No, I didn't drive much because I had a hard time seeing
Nice.
after dark, so I didn't drive much. So I had to let everybody else drive mainly.
That's a good deal. So did you get to pick the radio station, or
No, the
did you?
driver did that. Whoever's driving is the one that had to
Oh,
pick the radio station. That's how that
okay.
was.
So were you then the navigator? What was your job, or were you just the guy just to look pretty and be
Both
the?
both of them, yeah. But we, I tell you what, you can learn more about your career about doing a wrestling match in the back seat of a car with four guys in there just driving down the road. Certainly, if you got an old timer in there with you.
Absolutely. That's yeah. That's where I think I learned more than anything was just being in the car. Like, I mean, you can learn some stuff in the match. You can learn some stuff, you know, training. But yeah, like the weird intricacies, like the tiny little things that, like you were talking about with with what you were teaching Bart, like you get those little nuggets of information passed to you, and you're like, oh, I had no clue. Like that just opened up everything right there, and you get a lot of talking about ideas and how and concepts and how everything can work and what would be something that would actually work, and being able to have that time to pick someone's brain. And so who was that for you? Whose brain were you picking? Or
I picked a lot of Eric Embry's brain.
Okay.
Eric Embry, he's been around forever,
Yeah.
I picked his brain a lot. And I picked Tony Anthony, the dirty white boy.
Yeah.
I picked his name a lot. He used to call me Len Denton's bastard child. Because I was around Lenny all the time, and him and Lenny used to be the grapplers, you remember?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And
I
okay.
took both of their brains and stuff like that, and there was a referee called that used to be the spoiler. I forget his name now. Frank Malone or something like that. He used to be the spoiler under a hood.
Yeah.
Then when he quit doing that, he was one of the refs down there. So I'd always pick his brain if I could. So I just say, if you watch my match, you know I refereed it, but he'd tell you what to do in the ring. If you needed a spot, he'd give you a spot to tell the guy to do. So if you ran out of ideals, but yeah, he was a good ref. Because a ref can make the match. Ref's a very important part of the show. You got to have a good ref. And I like it nowadays. The women are getting to be refs. That's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, as long as there's, because I mean that's a whole another brain to go through. Like you can have two brains in there, but if you have that third one, especially if the third one's not really, if the crowd's eyes aren't on the third one, I mean that's for the person that can really be able to have a lot going on right there, and that's a big help to be able to have that kind of person in there, because I mean it's a lot more than someone that's just physically there, to have someone that's able to know all the spots that are going to help out with keeping the story going, and not getting to a spot where you're just lost. And like if that happens, if people say I don't know what to do, and then you got the ref like, okay, here, do this.
He was good about doing that. I think most of the refs are like that, but he was certainly good about doing that. So
okay, so then you're picking brains, and what kind of what were some of the things that kind of stuck out there? Do you remember, like, or was it more ideas, or was it that there were specific things, like points that you remember being kind of smartened up to, or?
Yeah, I was always interested in finishes, The booker called a finish, so I learned a lot of finishes and stuff like that. Let's say if you got a tag match and you got two guys in the ring, one gets knocked down, they throw me outside the ring, I get a chair and bring him back in there and go to hit the guy. When I do, he drop kicks me and I hit my head himself in the head with the chair. And he goes out of the ring and the guy would pin me. That's a good spot, a good finish to do. It's real
Uh,
easy, you know. It's just good. You can do that. Mainly, it's good to do in a tag match because the other guy would be having the referee's head turn and stuff like that. But
yeah.
just spots. You can do different spots. You can do one spot and they'll give the baby faces two after that. There's something that means spot really means a reason, and it'll make the babyface spot get over a lot better. It's just stuff you can think of. You can think of it riding down the road. Just think of spots, you know, and go over it in your head and stuff like that, and just go over with the babyface or the heel and see what they like to do, you know, and everything. So, and plus they taught us how to do promos, how to talk. We'd always do interviews in the car, do a promo in the car. They taught us
So,
psychology as far as working in the ring and doing a promo. You know, one of the best guys that does a promo is Jake the Snake Roberts. You know, how he talks, and he talks real quiet, softly, and then that's about all he does. So I forget what kind of phrase he said that was, but there's just certain ways to. You don't have to go and scream and holler to get your point across. You know, people paid attention to him when he talked.
right, and it's because it's also something different. It's a pattern interrupt. It's you know, everybody can go and yell, and then it's like, why is this guy talking so softly? What's he have to say? This is something
Right.
different. I'm not used to this. It's gotta mean something. And so I have a question. So if you I think now there are maybe not finishes, but more false finishes where there's going to be maybe a couple matches that end up having the same thing. Like, even if it's, you know, the ref misses a low blow and it happens in like two different matches and nobody really sees that and until like it happens, and then then the crowd's like, why did this happen in two matches? What was the way that you were able to kind of make sure that there weren't kind of the same spots happening in different matches?
By watching the matches when you wasn't wrestling, we'd
Okay.
always watch the matches either during the gorilla position behind the curtains or just sitting in the crowd or sitting in the bleachers up real high when nobody see you, just watching the matches, man. And you know what kind of spots they do. You might not remember every one of them, but you kind of know what not to do and what, if you're the first match, you don't want to do like it's a main event match, it's just the
Right.
first match, You want to get the people's attention and stuff and make them want to stay for the second and third match, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, when you were watching the matches before you go out, no, you're not before you go out, but it's like one of the first couple of matches, and let's say you're up in the stands. What are you kind of specifically looking at? Are you looking at the people in the ring? Are you looking at fans? Are you looking at the story that's going on? Like, I like to find someone someone that was so into it and find that person then later on in the show. And I've kind of done that with a lot of the stuff that I've done. I'm always the guy looking through the curtains, wanting to see what's going on. So I don't get that. But what are you watching? What's the main thing you're watching when you're wanting to see what's going on before you go out?
Mainly the boys in the ring, the ref, how the situation, how they work, what spots they're doing, what kind of story they're telling in their match. You don't want every match to have the same story, you know what I'm saying? You
Absolutely.
want everything to be kind of different, If it's just going out there every match and bleeding like they do in Puerto Rico, you're not really telling a story, But,
yeah, just expecting the blood.
exactly. They're animals down there. But, yeah, just telling a story and watching the fans too. Like you said, if you want to pick out a specific one, it's really hard up top when you're sitting way up top and nobody can see you to see what fans being rude or whatever. Just how big the house is and Just kind of
Yeah.
enjoy the crowd and just enjoy yourself out there. But mainly, it's just I'm just watching what's in the ring, you know.
So what happens uh, if you have sort of an idea for the match already, and you're watching in the ring, and you see the boys doing exactly what you were gonna do, and you think, "Ah, crap! Like this is exactly what I was gonna do. I need to totally change everything that I was doing." What's kind of the process that goes on in your head then?
Well, you don't have to. If it's the same finish or close to the same finish, you got to start getting a new finish to do, which is get you a finish that involves what you're telling in the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you got somebody that's got a mask on, and you're trying to get his mask off the whole match. You know, they'll do a spot where he goes to get off, and half of it come off, but it won't. The referee will go down, and finally he'll get something. He'll do a switcheroo on you, and pull something out of his trunks, or he blowed his mask. You know what I'm saying? The loaded mask,
Yeah.
and knock you out with that while the referee's down. We're not saying, and he finally comes to 1, 2, 3. But yeah, false finish is also good too. I've seen matches. I usually had around 3 to 4 in my match, but I've seen matches have 7 or 8 false finishes.
Can there be too many false finishes in a match?
Yeah, 7 or 8's way too many. You know, 3 or 4 is pretty good. You know, but even in a pay-per-view match I watched, they usually have around 3 or 4, but
So,
that's just
but
not
then,
enough. That's just enough to keep people's interest and really see who's going to win. You know.
but would those false finishes, would they be like full kickouts where you have your feet go up and you actually kick up, or is this like the arm up at right before 3 for a false finish, or is that kind of a both of them?
Both of them. Sometimes right at the first, do the ones where you kick out, and then people's gonna see that you're getting tired and beaten down more. So you just use your arm, raise it up before the 3 count. That's what I do, because kick out at first, and then you're gonna be tired anyway. But the people's gonna think, man, he's getting tired. I bet they got his clothes on him and really hurt him. So he's kicking out with the one shoulder. Look at that, man. He got one shoulder up, or 2.5, something like that. So
just barely. What?
Just barely got
yeah.
up.
Yeah. What's the most unusual part of, like, unusual story, like, or part of a body that you've worked someone in a match? I had a couple friends. They each worked each other's pinky in the match and didn't take any bumps. And that was the match that everybody remembered throughout the night. Was the match that the guys worked their pinkies. What was there any thing like that where you ever had a match where you worked something kind of odd, or was it always something, a pretty easy to tell story? I guess that's still even kind of easy. Go ahead.
Yeah, we probably easy to tell story. I really didn't do no pinky matches or nothing like that. I'd call them gimmick matches. That'd be the same thing to call them kind of matches a gimmick match. The only gimmick matches I do is like strap on a pole match, or have a strap match, or a cage match, or something like that, or barbed wire. Puerto Rico had barbed wire matches, but that's what kind of gimmick matches I was used to having.
How did those go? How those cage matches or barbed wire matches go?
A lot of blood.
Were you a fan of those matches? Were those the ones that? I mean, because you said that there wasn't. You said that there was a lot of bleeding. So was there not always a big lead up to like having a reason for them to have a cage match or a barbed wire match? Was there usually like still a big reason for it, or was it just to have it?
Yeah, usually when you have a cage match, is every time you've been having this angle between the two guys, usually the heels will do a run in on the baby face and make it where you win the match, or get the DQ'd or something like that. But yeah, that's what they do there. That way, doing that. But usually they'll do the heels of the baby faces at the same time. We'll be doing that.
And so then, were you? I mean, did you have like a story you liked telling during, like if you were doing a cage match, did you have, or was that usually something similar for a lot of them, or was it?
Yeah, they put the cage up and do a match when they got tired of the baby faces coming to the ring. They'll say, "We're going to put you two in the cage so nobody can interfere in that match."
Yeah.
So you just always make sure that the baby face gets juice first, with the cage or whatever, and then have the heel get it second, and everybody explode because you're bleeding and stuff like that, and then work some more spots and then go home.
So, like, how much time between when the baby face gets the color and then the time that the heel gets color? Like, how much of a time limit, or is it just like once the level of excitement gets back up to a certain point, then it's time to go for it, or is it like, do you think it's like 10 minutes or something, or what's kind of your rule of thumb for that?
First thing it depends on how long the match is going to be. So
okay.
You just kind of time it. I go like 10 minutes. Keep him down, get a lot of heat on him and stuff like that. Get your good heat on him while he's juiced up, make him bleed more. Maybe bite him or keep hitting his head in the turnbuckles and stuff like that. But and then get juice. Once you get color, man, people are gonna be rocking and rolling with it, man, because they've seen the guy's coming back and look at him now, he's bleeding, ha ha ha. So then you all do a few spots, work a little bit more while you're both bleeding, and work that blood since you're both bleeding. Work the head and stuff like that, and then go home.
Yeah. Okay. And so, like, then what's? I don't know. I think. So, like, okay. So then, after the match, what's the first thing you're doing? Whether it's a cage match or a just everyday match, which I don't know. There really is an everyday match, but afterwards, you get back behind the curtain. What's the first thing you do?
Go up and tell the guy you work thank you.
Beautiful.
We're having a match with him and ask him if he's all right, if everything was safe and everything was worked out all right, and thank the ref, and that's about it, man. Sit around and talk to guys to get a shower. Certainly, if you're bleeding, get all that shit off of you. You have to take a shower. So yeah, you cleaned up and then sit around and wait for a show to be over with and go ahead and leave. Yeah,
okay. What about before you go out to the ring? What are you doing before you go out of the curtain? Did you have a certain something you would do, or was it just go out there when they call your name? And you're like,
first thing we do is introduce ourselves to everybody when we come in the dressing room. For respect, so everybody know who we were. And then you get with the ref and get your opponent and get your finish and stuff, and then get dressed. Always get dressed first where you're always dressed, and then get with your opponent if you're in the same dressing room. Get with him and try to say, well, what kind of spots would you like to do? And he might say, well, give me this spot here at the first of the match and this and that. I can do that pretty good. But if you got different dressing rooms, the referee's got to, if you tell the ref a good spot, he can translate it next door to him over next door.
Yeah. So were you more a spot most of it out, or were you more call it in the ring, or were you about a 50-50, or what was your kind of style for?
Call it in the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, I call it in the ring because you can't remember everything you're doing in the back. Everything you're going to do in that match. You can't remember everything because you might get out there in the crowd to something else that makes you think of another spot to do to really make them mad. So you really can't think of everything. So maybe the first spot of the match, the opening part of the match, and then the rest of it just call it in the ring and you call your finish. So just call it in the ring is the way I was taught.
Yeah, me too. Did you have a time where you noticed that the crowd wasn't super into something right at the beginning or at some spot and you went and pivoted to something different to make it to like really get the fans, or like something that you caught with, like you were saying, with the fans where you noticed that something was really, getting some heat with someone and then you just sort of doubled down on it? Did you have something like that happen?
Oh, when you're in the ring, what happened now? Can you repeat
Yeah,
that
yeah,
again?
sure. Like if you were, I don't know, working an arm or something, and you start biting it, and someone in the crowd, you see someone in the crowd get really riled up, and then so you like double down and start biting their arm more or something, or anything like that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, doing it more, making more matter at you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes more sense. Yeah, you can work a leg like that too is a pretty good thing to do. Try to keep a guy off his feet. Certainly, if you're working a big man bigger than you, try to get his feet out from underneath him. The wheels out of underneath him. So, you're certainly a
yeah,
big, taller, big, muscular guy. That if you're outweighed 100 pounds, you want to take him off his feet to pin him. So you work the leg. One body part. And we usually work everything's usually worked from the left. Because in Mexico,
yeah.
they work from the
Unless you're
right.
Mexican, yeah.
Yeah, and now we work from the left, so just work on the left leg.
Do
Something
you
like that. So.
did you ever go dancing? Like, do you ever go dancing at all? Like,
No, I haven't been dancing in years, no.
okay, so when you did go dancing, did like did you like a lot of the dancing you go to the right, and it confused the hell out of me, and I'm like, I wish I was a Mexican. I wish I had learned that, because it was just like so weird to like do these things backwards, like everything I'm just so used to just going with the left and always turning that way, and but yeah, then just trying to go right, and I'm like, this feels so weird. I don't know if you ever got that or not. Maybe not.
Not really, but I just know how it
Okay.
is by habit going to the left. I've seen some matches where they'd, I guess, accidentally work a right party part, and then about a minute later they change to the left. People start saying, what are you changing sides for,
Uh,
man?
yeah.
Always just stick to the left if you can. Punch with your right hand and punch with your right hand and stick with your left, so.
So another question. So with it being hot out right now in summer, did you work outside shows at all?
Puerto Rico. We
Puerto
only did
Rico.
inside shows when we had TV. Well, when we had a big TV, but ever bought baseball diamonds, big baseball
Oh,
diamonds. They
yeah.
had the ring out there. So they didn't have no, and then had a few chairs around the ring. The rest of the people were set up in stadiums. Yeah, we worked baseball diamonds
Oh,
out there a lot.
so being in the hot sun, were you taking a lot of bumps, or working anything on the mat, or were you just like anytime it's just like that thing's been out in the sun for 5 hours, just sitting there soaking up the sun, and the thing's hot as shit, and I don't want to be on the mat at all? Or is it was it, I don't know, was it anything like that for you?
Once in a while it was. It depends where we're at. But most, if it was an afternoon show, it was even worse. But most of the time, it was night shows. The time the show started, it was already
Oh,
dark.
okay,
So
that's
the man
good.
had a little bit of chance of cooling off. But unless it was a day's afternoon show, where it's sitting out there in the heat of the day. But yeah, down there in
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, it's hot. And one thing about working in baseball diamonds, when you're walking back to the stadium to get back to your dressing room, there's an aisle you walk down, and them Puerto Ricans would pour pee on you, urine on you, feces on you when you're
Whoa.
walking down through there. Yeah, they'd pour all that stuff on you. And then when you're in the
Okay.
ring, they take them, them plastic pop cups they use at the concession stand. They
Yeah.
take them, and when it's done with them, they fill them full of rocks and throw them at you while he's in the ring.
Oh,
I don't
dang.
know how
Oh,
many times they missed you and hit the referee on accident. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of funny.
yeah.
But most
Sure.
most of the time, yeah, most of the time they throw.
Holy shit.
What I would do was when they was throwing at me, I'd just take them and pick them up, and whoever I was working, I'd hit them in the head with it. And that'd really make them mad. Yeah, they throw
That's a
stuff like that to you. And one thing, Dick Murdoch, he's the booker down there when I was down there. He said, "Don't go out. You can fight around inside the ring, but don't go up in the stands. It's afraid about getting stabbed because stabbings in Puerto Rico are like codes back in the United States. That
Okay.
happens all the time. There's always stabbings in the paper or people getting their heads cut off, and it's in the front paper because that island's run off the mafia. So
Okay. That okay. That makes sense. And you
yeah,
were in there in the early '90s. You said
yeah, mid '90s, and then
mid '90s.
mid '90s, and when I was in Tennessee, Eric Emery said, "I'm gonna send you. Want to go to Puerto Rico?" And Bart went back to Portland, so I went on down to Puerto Rico, and Dick Murdoch put me with Ron Starr. Remember him?
Yep.
He brought him down to put him with me, and I said, "Well, what are you bringing him for? I can use somebody around here, because they're gonna put the straps on it." He goes, "No, he's got more experience, and you can learn something from him." So, which I did. I learned psychology and spots to do, how to tag team. There's different kind of spots to do if you're in a tag match and if you are in a singles match. You want to do
Right.
spots to get somebody involved when you're in a tag match. So, he taught me stuff like that and how we did our promos together, and they put the straps on it there in Puerto Rico. And then they brought in, and we worked against the local El Bronco, and I forget the other guy's name. It was a local tag team down there we worked against. And then they brought in Steve Dahl and Rex King from Portland. They
From
brought them in
Portland.
as the Southern Rockers down
Okay.
there in Puerto
And
Rico. So one week we'd have the belts, next week they'd have the belts. Kind of like the same thing scenario they did in Tennessee, where you're dropping the straps back and forth, where it makes people more interesting than you have one of the teams just hold it for so long.
yeah.
That
So
made it interesting, but and the majority of the time they just keep it on the heels to want the baby faces to be chasing them for the titles, you know what I'm saying? So they made me think all your heels should have the straps. That way the baby faces, the fans are saying, well, let's go pay to see him, see if the guy gets that belt tonight.
yeah, yeah. If tonight's gonna be the night. So what were you doing in Puerto Rico during the day? Were
Laying
you
on the
sleep?
beach.
Cool.
Laying on
All
the
right.
beach, brother. Yeah. There's a lot of tourists in there we met too, man. It's a nice beach. Yeah, we had a place right by the beach. I live with Dick
Uh,
Murdoch and Randy Rose down there. And when he went, his cousin, his Dusty, the cousin of Dusty Rose, so he looked just like him. But we all three had a townhouse on there that the office paid for a month, so we didn't pay nothing. Plus, there was a motel called the Dahlia that I'd stay at, and all the boys stayed there. That was where L.D. Gilbert died at, was in that Dahlia. He died in his room up there.
oh, what? While you were
Yeah.
down there?
No,
Uh,
it was after. I
okay.
left. Yeah, he come in to take over the book. He was booking. He came in and took Dick Murdoch's job, and they found him on his bed with his Walkman on and his earphones on his ear, and he just passed out on the bed. I think they took too many
Wow.
pills and alcohol, is what they said.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah,
That's
Puerto Rico was good like that. The road trips are not that bad, but what it was traffic, because the island's 100 miles long and 35 miles wide, and you got almost 1 million or so people that live on there. So there's always traffic jams. And certainly if you're selling out a baseball diamond park, traffic's really in that town's really going to be busy getting into it. You always know if you got to sell out, you're getting paid. So they
yeah.
paid us. They paid us. We can get draws every night if we needed them and stuff like that. And they take the rent out of your check or the motel out of your check. It was a pretty nice little motel. All the boys stayed there and stuff. So
So did people see you around town then when you were there? They see you out on the beach and they're, people getting pissed off at you and stuff like that on the beach while you're, chilling out there, or what's?
well, most of the time the people were real cool to you outside the ring. And inside the ring you be a jerk. But really, I was
Yeah.
surprised. It was real cool about it. About you. I have a drink of beer with a few of them and stuff. That guy's going to probably think he ain't that bad of a guy. But you didn't downgrade him or nothing like that, because there was an opposition down there. I forget the name of it. Victor Cajones ran it. And Manny
Okay.
Fernandez they brought down there to work with him. Well, the story says, I wasn't there, but the story says that he started mouthing and calling these Puerto Rico's names that was doing construction work. That was down in a ditch. One of them come out of the
Oh,
ditch with that shovel and started beating on Manny Fernandez real bad. That's what they said. That's why,
oh,
because he said that. Now, if he
yeah.
just
Okay.
kept his mouth shut, they wouldn't have said that, you know? They wouldn't have done
Yeah.
that. That's just the way they
Wow.
are there, man. You just respect them outside the ring. You know, and inside the ring, go ahead and be your character and stuff. But outside, just don't, be cool and just going about your business. But yeah, I used to see him, and we had a special place that we went to every night and drank. It was called the Deli down there. They had made food and had beer and stuff like that, and they sold us 6 packs for $5. So Coors Light, Dick Murdoch used to work for Coors Light. They paid Dick Murdoch money to go around to these bars and get people to buy businesses to buy Coors Light from him. So he had a card that
Sure.
said he got the drink free. And he sure liked
Uh,
his Coors Lights. But we'd go there every
uh,
night. We sat by the windows, and tourists there didn't really know us. People that lived there, because we had 2 TV shows a week there. We had one on Saturdays, one on Sunday afternoons. So we
okay.
had good TV exposure down there. So everybody knew who you were. You just had to be cool and be calm and just respect them, when you're not in the ring. I never had nobody mess with me at all.
That's great. What got you to? What was the end of Puerto Rico? Was that when did you leave Puerto Rico, or
I
where'd
forgot
you
what
go?
year, but I think it was 99, something like that. Late 90s, because I stayed there in a while. What I'd do, I'd work a while down there, maybe
Yeah.
work an angle. I told Carlos one time I want to go home because I got to get a divorce. Because I'd been to 2 territories, 2 wives, and he was gone so much, That's one thing
Yeah.
I regret is not being home as much as I was. But I was always, kids grow up and they're seeing my daddy's at work, so he ain't home. And so he has to work on the road. I couldn't pack up and take him to different territories where we lived at. I wasn't in the service, so they just had their
Yeah.
base. They always lived here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so they had their base. We was based out of Tulsa, so. But I was always working
So,
angle with somebody. Whoever's angle I was working with, loser leave town match. That way you could leave town for 6 to 8 weeks at a time, and then go back down there. And then do something where you get hurt and get to leave town for a while where you're hurt and stuff like that to get out of town and break the monotonous of staying down on an island all the time, wanted to come back home for a while, different scenery, a lot cooler and stuff like that. Because every morning at 10 o'clock it rains there, and then the
oh,
temperatures in the upper 80s, 90s, real humid because of the ocean.
yeah.
And it's just miserably hot down there. You got to have a good air conditioner or you're going to be miserable.
Yeah. That air conditioner is a pretty big, important piece of it, and if you don't have it, I don't know. I don't know how people do it without air conditioning.
I don't know how they
That's
did it back in the old days, man, on the cowboy days, without an air
yeah.
conditioner, man. I don't see how they did it, man. Them guys would wear old long sleeve shirts too, as hot as it was.
That's what I'm wondering too. I wouldn't have thought about that, but yeah, like what were they doing to stay cool? What did they know that we didn't know, or were they just suffering in the heat? Who knows?
I don't know, man. It was maybe in our no, first life we should have lived to be back then. I guess I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think it would have been pretty interesting.
Do you think you would have been a cowboy in a previous life? Do you think that
I'd
would
been
have
an
been some?
outlaw.
You would have been an outlaw.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in them days it was too easy to not to. Back then, there was a lot of outlaws back in the day. More than there was cowboys. There was only one John Wayne. The rest of them was outlaws. You know what I mean?
That's right. Was there ever a place that you went to where you traveled where you felt like, I think I may have lived here before, or anything like that? Like if you did that, or like a place that you went to that felt familiar before you, before you had been there? Like if you went to, I don't know, like if you went to Puerto Rico, or if you went to down to Dallas, and you're like, something feels really familiar about this? Did that ever happen? Any places you went to, or not
Yeah,
really?
every once in a while it happened down in Tennessee down there because I'd go down there when we was a kid. We'd go to Grand Ole Opry down on vacation, you know.
Oh yeah,
And so it was kind of like I was there, but I was there before. It was just when I was a kid, you know, years before then. But when I got to go down there, I went there and went and seen. I was a Mark. I went and seen Graceland, seen Elvis, and all that stuff like that. So I used to go in there all the time, you know, and check that place out. It was pretty
yeah.
cool. Just little
Uh,
stuff like that. And they had some down in Puerto Rico. They had some I don't know. There was little army dudes that was back in the day when they had the French Revolution stuff like that. The Spaniards is what took over Puerto Rico down there. You know, in the war they had, and
yeah.
they had monuments and statues and stuff built to the generals and stuff like that. Well, they have them sitting on a big pedestal and have like flowers or plants or trees around them and stuff like that, and people it was a tourist attraction. They have the details of what happened and the name of whose statue it was. So it was
Yeah,
all the tourist attractions. Plus they had the tequila factory down there. Well, that was good. You get to sample tequila, you know. The
that
whole time
sounds
you're down
alright.
there, that was pretty cool. They don't have very many wine factories, but mainly tequila factories, and that's about it. And a lot of poverty down there. There's a lot of people that live in the hood. There's a lot of poverty. It's just there's always somebody at the street corner at the stoplight wanting to clean your window for some change, stuff like that. You don't see here. It's just
Yeah,
unbelievable. It's just a different world down there. I can't believe it's still it's part of the United States. You know, 'cause we don't live that way up here. You drink alcohol walking down beer, walking down the sidewalk. So I don't know how many
can't.
times I had to get used to drinking it at home instead of when I come home instead of walking outside and go down the sidewalk with it. You know what I'm saying? But down there it was
Right.
a thing. It was no big. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can drink it. I didn't really drink out in public. I just stayed in the deli and drank. But instead of walking down the sidewalk drinking, I just stayed in the deli and drank. So. But yeah,
So
I didn't do much of that walking down the sidewalk drinking. I just know a lot of guys that did and stuff. So
I mean, if you can, you may as well.
yeah, might as well.
So, yeah.
There was a little on the beach. There was a little. It was a bicycle. It was one of the bicycles that's got three wheels on it,
Uh huh.
and behind it he had a thing he had hooked up. Had a little bitty closed-in trailer that he sold pina coladas and stuff like that. And he come around and wanted to know if y'all want something to drink. You know, I think it was like $5. You know, and that'd be pretty cool. Laying on the beach and something to drink like that. Most people didn't take their own stuff, but it's pretty cool that guy to come around. You can hear him come around. He's like the ice cream man. He was jingling, you know, his bells are going and stuff. Tourists take that stuff up, man.
So
That's a big tourist style. That's a big tourist place in Puerto Rico. You see a lot of tourists down there, and they always used to ask me, "You got a lucky job, man. You get to stay down here and make your money. We just got to come here and spend ours, you know." So. I said, if you only knew how it was down here, you wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought.
have you had any desire to go back down there since then?
Yeah, I've had so many surgeries why I had to retire because I really couldn't do it anymore. And at the time, I was going to take some guys from these independent promotions up here and take them down there and manage them. Was what I was going to do. But their business is up and down and stuff. And then I've had both knees replaced, both shoulders replaced, my ankles are fused together. So when I got all that stuff done, I tried to work a little bit, and my timing was off. And trying to get up from the mat was off, and I couldn't really do it from all the injuries I got. So that's when I knew it was time to retire. I'd still be doing it. I'm 58, so I'd still be doing it if I could, you know.
Yeah, that's.
But after Puerto Rico,
what?
go ahead.
Go ahead. So, did you know that you were done? Did you know,
basically I did. Yeah, I could tell by the way the fans treated me and stuff like that. And I'd go around for these after Puerto Rico. I'd come back to the States and worked a lot of independent promotions. A couple promotions here in town that was running. I was one of the bookers in one of them, and then that was cool being my first booking job. That was awesome there, man. Learning what I've learned all through the territories and come back here and being a booker, that was pretty nice.
I
It was,
bet.
yeah, I like doing
Did
that. So,
What'd you like about it?
oh man,
About being the booker?
you're in control. You're in control. You get to call those finishes. Well, sometimes that's hard trying to remember seven finishes. Think of seven finishes for the show. Depends on how many
Yeah.
matches there are. In Puerto Rico, they had like 10 or 12 matches.
Oh,
The
jeez.
main event in Puerto Rico is the fourth match.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not the main. It's not the last two like the semi-main and the main. It's the fourth match is the main event.
so is that set up sort of like how, uh, like that they assume people are gonna leave for it? Like they just like if it's the fourth match, so then like the matches after are they still sort of like they're not really building to anything? Is it just sort of like is it better to be on before the main event then or after the main event?
It depends. What they do is they do the main event. Let's say Greg Valentine or Dick Murdoch was Carlos Colon. They got their angle, so they're always on fourth. Then after that, you have other guys. You'd have your tag matches, you'd have your gimmick matches, stuff like that afterwards. But I can remember being the last match there, standing in the ring at a quarter to one, not even getting ready to lock up in the ring. That's how slow it ran down there. Matches were long,
Uh,
intermissions were long. It was pitiful. You
yeah.
just waited around. After you got done working, you just sat around, man. There was nothing else to do. It was just start
So
slow and taper off. I was always waiting all the time. Even driving home, you had to wait on the traffic. It was just irritable every once in a while.
so then once you like once you do your match, are you able to relax or like if you're on like the very last match? I mean, you kind of are still like planning everything, at least in your head or with whomever you're working with, kind of planning it. Uh, then are you, or like if you're on the first match, you go and you do the match, you go and you take off your gear, and then you can just sort of sit back and watch and just sort of enjoy it, not have to worry about anything. Did you like going on earlier or later, or did it, I mean, it probably nicer to go on closer with the higher pays, with the, being more featured event or match, but
I like going on earlier because this time I didn't like waiting all the way up till midnight to go in the ring when you got your first when you come in your adrenaline is flowing. You know how it is before a match. Then you
yeah,
got everything to do, all that time to sit around before your match, and it's like, damn. I
yeah.
always like
What?
going before, just like maybe a match or two after main event, something like that. We were on a lot. There was just no one every time we go on last. Very few times we went on last. So
Yeah, okay. And so did you go back to Oklahoma after you left Puerto Rico?
yeah, I went back to come back here. Went back to Portland. Was all I went back to USWA like once or twice, but then I had all these surgeries at a time because I was getting so injured in the ring I couldn't get around, so I had to have the surgeries done just to be able to get around. And
Sure.
the doctor told me, I don't know if you're gonna be able to do what you was doing, because your mobility, like your ankles are fused, so it's hard to bend them. You can't bend them, so they're hard to wear them boots and stuff like that. And it's just different stuff,
Whoa.
little stuff like that brought me into retiring and stuff. But I worked a lot of independents around here in Oklahoma, up in Kansas. There was a lot. Just about every state's got independent shows, And if you're good with the promoter, you can travel a lot working independents.
Yeah.
And you can
So
make pretty good money too if you can be a main eventer. Since you've been on these territories, they'll put you on main event, and some of them will drop the titles to you and make you a booker or whatever you're gonna do like that. It's just have all the experience. It's like these independents got these young guys that are working, and they're bringing a veteran that's been somewhere, like I was. So that's how it worked out that way, and that was real fun to work with. You get to meet a lot of you get to see upcoming wrestlers that's gonna be stars one day on them independents. That's how you start out.
Yeah, and then they get to be picking your brain and finding out what you've learned, and um, yeah, and it's interesting, seeing like who trained you, and then like who trained those people, and then like I don't know how far back it went before it went to they were in the carnival or wherever it was that they uh, were where they started. I mean, it's not too far back till you get to there, and so uh, yeah, getting to see just different ways people get trained. There's so many different ways, and there's
Yeah,
so many
man.
different,
A lot
which
of
is
people don't. I always express the word kayfabe a lot. 'Cause, back in the day we kayfabe. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Nowadays I don't do that at all. Since he said it was Vince said it was sports entertainment, them guys don't kayfabe. They're always caught eating together and riding together and stuff like that.
yeah,
So back then it was kayfabe. You got fired if you got caught riding a baby face or a heel. And so we just stuck together, heels, baby face, and if you went into a bar or restaurant, if that guy was in first, you turned around and left. You didn't stay. You know what I mean? Whoever was there first got to stay. You were never in the same place at the same time. Certainly, if you had TV, but some of these independent shows they don't have TV, so they do all their shows off word of mouth. They do the angle in the ring during the week, and they do inside interviews for that angle like they got TV. It's how they run.
yeah. Well, yeah. So, what's what was the biggest pop you got in your life, whether it was in wrestling or out of wrestling? What was the biggest pop that you remember?
Oh man, there's been quite a few of them, certainly in the business, but I'm thinking the night we was in the ring with the Southern Rockers, and we had it where they were down, we had them handcuffed to the ropes, and the referee was down, the baby faces was coming in there trying to cut the chain off the door. When they got it cut off, we kept hitting the guys. We had a chair and we kept hitting them with them as they was coming in the ring to help the baby faces. And that really pissed the people off, man, right then, because they couldn't get in. Here they come. Here's your help coming. Now look at them guys. They just knocked them out. Look what they're doing. The referee can't see nothing. So that was a big pop there. So that was pretty cool. In Puerto Rico, we had them barbed wire matches, and they had fire around the thing and all that stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
you didn't touch that, you really get burnt because that was real fire. So, but if you accidentally touched it or something like that, just by hollering and going around the ring, running in place or something like that, like it's really hurting because it does hurt. People pop off that too. Certainly if it's a heel getting done to you. So there's a few
absolutely.
spots like that. So other than that, that's about it. It just depends on where you're at and how big the crowd is or what kind of crowd it is. It might be a heel crowd, it might be a face crowd, you know what I mean? The
Yeah,
crowds are different, a lot of people, a lot of the marks like heels out there just as much as they like baby faces. It just depends on what city you're in. But down there in Puerto Rico, it was always a heel crowd. They didn't cheer for the
oh,
heels though. They hated us, but some of them cheered for us. Mainly, it was a heel crowd because it was all mean people, man. You had to watch them.
yeah. Watch what they're throwing and pouring and
Yeah.
yelling and everything, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's
somebody asked me one time if I knew Spanish from living down there. I said, yeah, all the cuss words.
right.
And we would cuss me, I picked up on a few things down there. Really, that's all I really know. 'Cause I'd hear that in the ring, and I'd ask the guy, what'd that mean? And he'd tell me. So I knew what they was doing, so I knew that. So
Uh,
that was
so
pretty cool, at least knowing what you're getting called.
yeah, and every time I hear that word, I know I'm making money. I know that's a few dollars in my pocket here for that. For every time I'm hearing someone call me, whatever word it might be in Spanish, I'm doing my job. And
Yeah, and down there too, let me bring this up before I forget it. Down there too, some of the Spanish people don't understand English that well. So to call a spot, you have to tell the ref, because they always spoke good Spanish, English. Then he'd tell
Yeah.
the face, the
Okay.
spot. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
you translate that. And then sometimes the referee wouldn't tell him all of it, or tell him too much. Halfway mess it up. So you always was worried about the referee, was repeating it the right way. That's how he called a lot of
So
spots down there. So it was complicated when you first started out. It was
yeah.
complicated. After a while, you got used to it. And there were some guys that didn't even have to know a spot, say a spot. They could just go. You work so much together, you knew what each other was going to do.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's cool that you're able to get that. Just sort of like looking at someone, you just sort of feel like you can, like you said, you know what they're gonna do, that you know their spots, and you just like, here it comes. I don't need to really say anything because
Yeah, exactly.
I know it. I can tell where you're going. You're getting ready for this, and I'm ready to take it and give you one of these back, and call it a day.
Yeah, it's pretty nice when he does that. But you got to be working
Yeah,
with somebody for a while, and used to each other before that happens. That's very few and far between that happening.
yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's quite the skill to have.
Yeah, two guys working good together knows each other. So used to each other, the way they move, their moves, and their sells, what makes them sell the best, and makes them not sell the best. Depends on the way the crowd's doing, what kind of selling you want to do. You always want to sell. Babyface got to sell all the time, but sometimes you
Yeah,
can sell too much too. You can
and
oversell sometimes.
so what happens then? What happens if you're overselling? Like what would you mean by overselling too much?
Well, it depends on what the body part they're working, or you can oversell your arm so much that you may put it in a cross position like it's broke, and keep doing that, but not trying to get it loosened up to get like the numbness back out of it, and stuff like that. Just keep it
Okay.
in the arc all the time, overselling it that way. You should always working an arm, your arm's gonna get numb. So anytime slap on it with the other hand, trying to wake it up, you know what I mean, something like that. If you
Yeah.
just kept it to your side and selling it, and just kept doing that, it's kind of overselling that way. Because people want to see you try to get at least not be injured like that. They'd say, well, man, I could kind of come out of that. Your arm's just probably numb or something like that, or stiff from that, or your leg, can't put weight on your leg or something like that. So you're always trying to get up to put weight on it, because to get around in the ring instead of just laying there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. To make it just so you're not just dying there in the ring. You're not just.
Right, you're
Yeah.
right.
Okay. All right. So, how are people gonna find you on the internet? I'll go and I'll link stuff. I know you sent me some ways to do it.
Email is heelwrestler123@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and X and Instagram, so I post stuff on there. Look me on
Oh,
Facebook. I got my Facebook profile on there, and it's got all my podcasts I've been on and matches I've been. It's been on TV, and they're all posted on there. Not all of them, but some on them. You can find me on YouTube. They got all my matches on there. Most, not all of them, but the main tours I've been in. So it's all on there. So just look
yeah.
under Pretty Boy Doug Masters or Doug Masters Pro Wrestler, and you can find me.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I enjoyed getting to talk with you and yeah, pick your brain a little bit without being in the car. Well, I got to pick your brain from not in the car, but in the car.
I got you,
So,
man. I appreciate
yeah.
it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
You did a good job, brother. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Have a great day.
You too. God bless.
Thank you too. Maybe it'll do something. This will be good. We'll just let it go.
We still
If
on?
you go, we're still on. I'll take you off here. I think I can get you. Okay, here we go. I'm getting you out here, and have a good one.
You too, bud.
All right. So there he is. That was fun. I haven't got to talk to I haven't got to talk to a wrestler for a while. I don't know if I haven't got to talk to a territory wrestler for a long while. I don't remember the last territory wrestler I talked to. I would say it was in Minnesota that I spoke to some territory wrestlers. Back, like, I don't know, 2019 maybe? So, yeah, I'm glad I got to speak with him and I got to pick his brain. You guys, if you're a wrestler, go in the car and bring someone with you. Bring someone you can pick their brain. You can learn all the stuff you want in the ring. You can learn all the stuff you want in training. But those long car rides, bring someone with you. Book him. Yeah. I like getting that knowledge. I like hearing the stories. I like hearing about how to do psychology better. I like it. I like it. There's good stuff to learn. There's good stuff to learn. And they did it so we could do it. And I did it so maybe there's someone who's like, well, I saw Rusty do it and that's why I'm doing it. Maybe. Who knows? But thank you, everyone. I guess I should say my name is Rusty, and this is the Public Access Podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. This is episode 650, and I have a shit ton coming up in the next month. In July, there's going to be a lot, so brace yourself. August is already filling up, but I probably have 25 in July. Today's July 1st, so get ready for a lot of me. And do not worry about my clothes. They're probably kind of clean. I only have so many pairs of clothes. I have 25 podcast episodes, I'm going to say, in July. I don't know how many of them I'm going to be wearing a clean shirt. I live in the islands and I don't give a fuck. My name is Rusty Diamond, and that is the show, man.